you got Maryland next week, who, they beat Indiana today. It looked like they were going to boat race them early on, but then Indiana collected itself, punched back. I think they even took the lead a couple times, but Maryland did make a few more plays in the end. And then we got Michigan, who, until today, they looked like a team that was starting to kind of put it together. Although their passing game maybe had some question marks, but they definitely could run the ball on the ground. And boy, they really seem to have Sparty on the ropes. But I don't know. Did you watch that game? Like, what happened in that?
Yeah, Avery, my older son, and I were at the gym getting a lift in today, and our Black Shoe Diary Slack channel was just blowing up about this game, about how well Michigan was playing. So at the gym, the Pitt game was on, as well as Iowa and Wisconsin. I expected to get home in that Michigan State game, like 21-3 Michigan. Well, I got home, and I think it was like 13-7 Michigan or so. And now, to Michigan's credit, they jumped out to that lead at 30-14. So I decided to go take a shower because that's going from the gym. And I got out of the shower and the game started 30, and then things just got wild. From what I saw, basically Kenneth Walker is a freaking dude. In my opinion, the guy should be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy right now. And if you're Wake Forest, you've got to be kicking yourselves because you're 8-0 without him. Could you imagine Wake Forest if they did still have Kenneth Walker? But no, I think coming out of the night, like you said earlier, Michigan really struggled with Michigan State one tempo. So I'm hoping in 2 weeks that we see Mike Yurcich just go tempo against Michigan. There's no reason Penn State should lose to Maryland, barring the letdown. And I know it's a lot to say, barring the letdown, because in James Franklin's tenure, the Nittany Lions, through his first 7 years, coming out of the Ohio State game, are only 1-6 against the spread and 2-5 overall. So they definitely have taken their lumps in the past coming out of the Ohio State game. And, those 2 wins overall came against Rutgers and against a Purdue team that I believe went like 2-10 and had former Penn State.
That was when they had Jared Parker.
Yeah, former Penn State receivers coach Jared Parker was their interim coach because what was his name? Daryl
Hazel got fired.
Hazel, right? Yeah, had been fired. So, this is a big test for the Nittany Lions, simply to see if they can overcome the past. And like when you and I were on with Mark earlier in this week previewing the game, I said, I understand where some of this letdown comes from. As a program, if you're going to get to where you want to be as Penn State, as that playoff team, as that team who can win the Big Ten year in, year out, you've got to beat Ohio State. And even though no one in the Lash building will ever tell you this, they put all their eggs into that Ohio State game, which is why you see Penn State play Ohio State so tough every season. It's why you saw Penn State come damn close to going to Columbus tonight and getting a victory. So coming out of a game like that, that's that emotionally invested, it's very easy to have a letdown. So it's up to the coaching staff to not have that letdown this week against the Maryland team that Penn State is definitely much more talented than, especially with Sean Clifford looking healthy again. So, you get past the Maryland game and you look at the Michigan. If they go tempo against Michigan, I think they can find a lot of success on offense. And I will say the Penn State, rush defense that had a lot of questions about coming into the day, really outside of 2 big plays, contained Travion Henderson. And, this is not a knock against Haskins. It's not a knock against Blake Corum. Michigan's rush defense is very good, but Travion Henderson might be the best running back in the country, not named Kenneth Walker. So if you can contain him, I feel confident that they can contain the Michigan rushing attack. And, I still think Penn State loses at least one more game. But coming into the night, I would have said I think they lose more than one more game. So, again, just back to what I said earlier, where as a Penn State fan, you've got to feel a lot better about the month of November moving forward than you did coming into the night, largely because of how well this team played tonight.
Right. I guess it's a little hard for me to just, write off Maryland. Like, I wouldn't say I'm not going to say write off Maryland, but I mean, I guess I still have, visions of what happened last year when Maryland just absolutely curb stomped Penn State in Happy Valley, during that COVID year. And Penn State, I think, was favored by 3 scores, if I remember correctly. And
it was also after the Ohio State game, which is,
it
again,
was after the Ohio State.
always the big letdown spot for Penn State.
Now, granted, I guess a little bit. Well, I don't know about a little. Well, the game before Ohio State was the Michael Penix totally not being in on the 2-point conversion loss, and then after that, of course they got beat by Ohio State. But then, I think after that they kind of. That was the real. Just I think after that they were kind of just let down. So I don't know. At this point, though, they already had their, really bad loss to Illinois, inexplicable loss, and and to come back and play this way they did tonight at Ohio State really was an eye opener. And my hope is that they lesson I take from this is that they bring that kind of effort every week. They can maybe run the table in November even. It's not out of the question, but it starts though by bringing that same effort to College Park next week, against a Maryland team who certainly beatable. I mean, their defense, they gave up 35 points to Indiana. And Indiana's offense is nothing to write home about. And they were down. Indiana was actually down to their third string true freshman quarterback because Michael Penix and Jack Tuttle were both, out with injuries. And even their run game, like Stephen Carr, they haven't had any real run game to speak of, similar to Penn State this year. And Carr broke off like a 60-yard touchdown run against them. So, who knows if we're ever going to see, a huge long touchdown run from Penn State, next week might be one of their better chances. But the defense is definitely something that, Cliff could certainly exploit. Now the question is will the defense be able to contain Talia Tagovailoa and that passing attack, which Talia threw for 419 yards, 26 for 40, 2 touchdowns. He's had a couple of key guys in. Dante Demas out for the year, so is Deshaun Jones, but another guy named Carlos Carrier stepped up, 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Jarrett had 88 yards catching. Jarrett's the guy that burned Penn State a couple times for touchdowns last year on the same exact crossing route, which I still can't get out of my head. So
thankfully Lamont Wade is no longer on the roster. So
yes,
an issue.
And to be fair, this Penn State back seven has done a pretty good job of not getting burned by the pass so much this year.
Even tonight, I thought the back seven had a terrific game. There was that one touchdown pass to Olave. That was 38 yards or whatever. Outside of that, I thought the secondary played a tremendous game.